Hi, everybody. Welcome to the weekly Facebook Live anti-hustle business training in Reclaim Your Wild. I have some exciting news coming up. We're going to be doing some rebranding, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But I am here today to talk to you about and just share with you how I have spent the last 4+ years paying off credit cards, paying off my student loan, establishing my personal credit, establishing business credit for the first time. So that's exciting. And how I have managed to clean up my finances and be able to travel first class, which that has been on my radar for a while. My big goal for 2023 was to get on a plane and make a left. And so I did that on this trip. I'm broadcasting from the Cayman Islands. I've been here for the whole month of July. And if you're new to me and to the group, I live in Italy. So that's going to play into this conversation. So we're here today. And so I first and foremost just want to say too, I am fully acknowledging that my circumstances are quite unique. And so it might be tempting to point out all of the ways that I have privilege, or because of where I live, the cost of living is low in Italy, but I make US wages and I make 5-figure months consistently. I've done that for the last, 2+ years. And so it's really easy to look at what I've done and say, oh, I can't apply that to my circumstances, or none of this applies to me. So my invitation to you is to really look at what you can learn from this, what you can apply to your life, to your country. I am an American expat living overseas, and so that changes my circumstances. I do believe that if I were still living, especially in the Cayman Islands, which is just quite expensive, but if I was still living in the US, my circumstances would be a lot different because of how much I pay in rent, because of national health care, just because of all of the things. So my invitation, just for everything that I do always, but especially for this stuff, is to really listen with an open mind and see what you can apply to your situation, see the mindset shifts that you can make, and see what's available to you in your country according to your circumstances, and let go of, oh, I could never do that, and move more into possibility of like, I wonder how I could make that happen. I wonder how I could do that for myself. So that's always the invitation here for you. So put your questions in the chat. I might not answer them while I'm on this, just because we are repurposing this and recording it, but I will come back and answer any questions that you have afterwards. So let's go ahead and dive in. So this is, I'm sharing this. I've written about this on some posts. And so I just wanted to do, again, repurposing content. So I'm repurposing a post that I did, but I want to have more of a dialogue. So one thing that I did to kick all of this off. So I moved to Italy in 2017 and was predominantly living off of credit cards. I did have some savings, but I moved to Italy pretty quickly after a breakup without much planning or like much. When I moved to the Cayman Islands in 2013, I had maybe like $6,000 saved. I had a job. Or like job potentials lined up. I had a free place to live. So I felt very, I was still nervous, but I had some things some irons in the fire. Is that how they say it? So, and it was planned. When I moved to Italy in 2017, it was on the heels of a breakup. I was just trying to get out of the country, and I was figuring my life out. It seems like I'm always trying to figure my life out. So when I moved to Italy, my business wasn't super stable. I didn't have reoccurring revenue. I didn't know how to launch. I didn't have a one-on-one coach. I was really just shooting from the hip, and it worked for me, right? So I had clients. I was working with a coach training company at the time. And so I had some different streams of income coming in. And then I relied heavily on credit cards. And I fully recognize that not everybody has access to credit cards. So just getting that out of the way. What I had to do in 2019 was I was tired of waking up panicked. I was just about, so I had maxed out a credit card. I was just about to max out a second credit card. I couldn't get any more credit cards because, when you're trying to play the credit card game, you have to have decent credit, right? Like you have your credit score has to be high enough for the credit card companies to trust you. So I couldn't get another credit card in order to try to do a balance transfer or anything like that. So I was in this just panicked state, just waking up in cold sweats. Like I always had a stomach ache. And I knew that it was time for me to just really draw a line in the sand. And I had to take a good hard look at what I had been doing, how I would gotten into this mess again, because I had paid off my credit cards twice in my life. One time was a personal loan from my parents. They paid off a credit card. And then I got myself back into credit card debt. I had a settlement from a shattered wrist, paid off all my credit cards. I didn't pay off my student loan, which I should have done. Got myself back into debt again. So one thing that we're going to talk about in conscious money is that you can have the gifts, you can have people, float you money. You can do all of the things to figure out how to pay down your debt. But if you don't change how you think about it, how you relate to money, your spending habits, your emotional spending, you're going to find yourself right back into the same situation, which I have done multiple times. So, and like, to be honest, I'm still dealing with that. So I carry a balance on my credit cards. I'm paying down, 2 credit cards at the moment. So like, I'm not saying that, I'm totally in the black yet. And just so that you know that I'm on this journey with you. And also, I have no problem carrying the debt. I'm not panicked. I can sleep well at night because I know that I can pay it off. And this is like never ending in all of the work that we're doing, right? Is that we're always healing wounds. We're always healing worthiness wounds and our generational trauma around money and all of that stuff. And so this is just an opportunity for me to look closer at that. So one thing that I had to do was I had to start really paying attention to what I was buying. I tracked everything that I was spending my money on, and I started to see where I was emotionally spending and where I was basically binging. So it's kind of like one of my eating disorders or disordered behavior with eating was not necessarily purging, but restriction and then binging. And so I found myself doing this with money. There's a lot of parallels where I was super strict, restricting, not allowing myself to do things, not allowing myself to have fun, not allowing myself to have the fucking coffee or the gelato or do the things, right? And then I would binge and just like spend more money than I would have spent had I just like allowed myself to have the fucking coffee or the things, right? And so it was this cycle. So what I did for at least a month or a couple months was I really started to keep track of my expenses. And I didn't do this in a spreadsheet. I didn't do this in any, which like will provide that for you in conscious money if you want to use it. But what I did was I just used my notepad on my phone and just really started to track that. I did use, so full transparency, like I joined Financial Peace University with Dave Ramsey. I did the whole, like his budget was like every dollar, I believe, which was quite confusing for me because I have issues with numbers and my brain just short circuits. All of these are options to you if they feel good, but really what you want to do is you really want to start looking at where is your money going? How are you feeling when you're spending it? How do you feel after you've spent it? Like, do you have regret? So this is the same thing with when you're looking at, like, if you're doing like a food chart where are you emotionally eating? How did you feel? Did you regret? Did you feel shame? Did you feel obligated to buy something or do something? Like, did you feel obligated to eat the fucking birthday cake, but you didn't want to eat it, but then you had like 3 pieces because you couldn't stop yourself? So these are the things that I really started to look at. And so even if you don't join Conscious Money, these are things that you can start to do in your own life and really start to see where you can make some changes. So that was first and foremost, that I took a really hard look at my behavior and what I was doing. One of the other things that I did was I downloaded Credit Karma and it's a free app, and it monitors your credit. And so what it also does is it tells you what cards you're available for, if they're like balance transfer cards, which that's like a game. We'll get more into that in Conscious Money, but like it's like a dangerous game that you can play, but you can really use credit cards as leverage in order to get ahead, if you have the money and you have a way to pay it down, right? Because if you do like a 0% APR transfer balance, but then you can't pay it off, then the APR, the interest rate is like usually like 29-30%. So you want to be really careful when you're kind of playing around with credit cards. So I downloaded Credit Karma in order just to watch my credit score. And back in 2019, I think it was in like, I want to say the 500s, 600s. And now I'm in like, I don't know, it's like 725, 715. It just depends. And you're going to get different scores from that, but I feel like it's close enough. But what you'll also see is they fucking gas you up, which is great. They show you where you can make some improvements. They tell you what cards you have available to you and your probability of getting them from the credit card company. So I really like using Credit Karma. There's other things out there. You can use your bank. I know that like my American Express, I get a free credit report. I'm also with Wells Fargo. You can get a free credit report. So check out with your bank. This is predominantly for Americans. I don't know if other countries use credit scores like America does. But if you do, call your bank, call your credit card companies, look and see what's available to you. I made some sacrifices. So, but not like, my lens was also that I'm doing this now so that I can set myself up in the future. And so I knew that if I cut out eating out as much as I was, which like in Italy, it's like, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 bucks a pop. And then, I would trade off with my husband, where he would pay, I would pay, right? So like sometimes it was 50 bucks, sometimes. So it just like, it was great for both of us because we saved more money. So think if you had 200 extra dollars, and this was also my thinking, like, so if I ate out every week or like once a week and it was 50 bucks and I just stopped doing that for a couple of months, then I would be saving what, $200 that I could then put towards my credit card. So what I also started doing was, instead of buying the thing that I wanted to buy, I would just put that money or like calculate it, right? And then at the end of the week, I would, cause like I used to smoke cigarettes too, and that's like $5 a pack. So in Italy and over here in the Cayman Islands, it's like $12. I don't know how much it is where you are, but cigarettes are quite expensive. So what I would do was, when I quit smoking, I would tally up, and I was smoking like a pack a day. So I would tally all of that up. And then at the end of the month, I would put all of that money either in my travel fund, or I would put it in my, put it towards a credit card, right? So these are just like small changes that make a big difference. I quit getting my nails done at the salon. This again was another like $100, €100 a month. So between, how much it cost, like the train ride, the actual getting the nails done, how many hours it took me to get my nails done, because time is money. I decided that actually, and that's something that I didn't start doing, like once I started doing better in my business. I go on Amazon and I get Lee press-on nails. But you can get these in the grocery store or at the drugstore, like wherever you are. And I get compliments on them all the time. I'm sure people who do their nails, like who do nails, have lots to say about Lee press-on nails, but they work for me. And I really can't be bothered to spend that much time in a nail salon anymore. So there were some sacrifices that ended up being something that I kept doing. And then eating out, obviously, I go back and forth. But you get to make that decision for yourself. So another thing that I did was that I called my credit card companies. I got all of their phone numbers and I had the list. And I called them every month to see if they would lower the APR, until finally Bank of America was willing to work with me. It was the only bank that was willing to work with me. I might have cried on all of the calls and like literally begging them, like I'm trying to get and I was just like super transparent. And I was like, I'm trying to get my finances in order. I'm trying to pay you. And I'm just like, can you help me, please? There's nothing like I have not heard good things about like consolidating your debt and working with debt refinancing companies. You have to remember too that these companies are here to make money and they're not your friends. And that is something that I had to drill into my head, was that they're not here to see me win. Like these companies exist not out of the fucking goodness of their hearts. They exist because people default. They exist because they need to make a profit. And so I just really had to remember that. And so what I did really worked for me. If you're considering debt consolidation, I would really look into it and see if there's like any other way that you can get around that. And this is how I did it. So I called the banks, like I said, and Bank of America was the only bank that was willing to work with me. What they did was they said, okay, we'll close the credit card, which that is going to immediately hit your credit report and it's going to lower your credit score. But when you're doing this, you have to think, you have to play the long game, right? Just like in your business. So you have to think, I'm going to take a hit now, but I know that this is ultimately going to help me. And so then, and it did, right? So this was how I got this is one of the ways that I got a leg up. So they closed the card, they lowered the APR. I can't even remember. I think it was like 9% or something from 20 whatever percent. So that was a huge fucking lower. And then they set me up with $218 monthly payments, which was a far cry from I think I was paying like up to like $1,000 to $1,500 a month in credit card payments, just like paying minimum. And this is what I mean. Like I just needed a break. And this was the break that I needed. And so what it allowed me to do was the money that I had been, this is the snowball method too, the money that I had been spending on the B of A monthly payments. Let's say it was 500, they lowered it to 200. I took that extra 300 and I just started dumping that into my other debt. And so Dave Ramsey, he does have some good things. Tori Dunlap, she wrote the book, Financial Feminism. So that's something to look at too. All of the gurus are going to have like some kind of like debt repayment process. And there's like lots of different thoughts on this. So what I did was that I took the lower, I wanted to get like a win. And so I took the lowest balance and paid that one off first. So even though the APR might have not been the highest, we'll talk about this in conscious money because it can get confusing. But what I did was I took the extra 300 and I just kept dumping it into this and paying this credit card until I was able to pay that off. And then I took the money that I was paying on that card and the extra 300 from B of A. And then I threw it all at the next card, right? So that's the whole debt repayment or the snowball method. So that just really allowed me to build the momentum, to build the trust in myself, to see that I was fully capable of paying off my credit cards and just really build my confidence. And it made me super excited that I was finally seeing a dent and I was finally seeing this happen. And I was like, okay, I can do this. Like I was finally feeling there's like light at the end of the tunnel, right? So I had to stop really worrying about my credit score dropping while I was in this debt repayment phase. Let me take a little sip of my protein shake. Because I had to really trust that I was playing the long game. And so don't worry about seeing it dip. Just know that you'll get there and that this takes time. Another thing that I did too, that sometimes people don't think about, is I asked for credit increases on all of my credit cards, even though I was like balls deep in credit card debt. I just kept asking them, and you can request. So sometimes you can do this on the app, or sometimes you have to call. But I used to, whenever they would give me credit increases and say like, congratulations, I was like, no, this is the worst thing ever because it means I'm going to spend it. And say like, I don't know what just happened. But now I trust myself to not max out my credit cards, because when they do that, it changes your debt to credit card utilization score. So it means that, and like ideally credit card companies, they want you to stay under 30% of like your borrowing power for your credit cards. So as soon as your credit card gives you an increase, it doesn't mean to go fucking spend it. It just means to let it sit there, because then it changes that percentage, right? And so it will help with your credit score. And it just gives you a little bit of a cushion and a buffer. So ask, closed mouths don't get fed. And so this is what I learned with all of these things, with all of this, right? Is like, and keep fucking bugging them. Have it on your calendar, the first of the month, call your credit cards, ask for a lower APR, ask for, even if you're doing well, because it's just going to help your, like build your credit and build your business credit, and help you in the long run. In 2019, I was offered a position, a contract position, which meant with a coach training company, which meant that I needed to pause because it was a direct conflict of interest, right? We were competitors in that sense. And so I paused my coaching business to take on the role as the sales and marketing coordinator for this coach training company. I was also the head trainer. So I was leading classes, I was coach training, as well as managing like behind the scenes, the sales and marketing department. I will never shit on anybody for keeping their job, going to get a job, taking on side jobs in order to pay your bills, in order to take that pressure off of yourself and off of your business. If you can find a job that's in your niche, even better, right? But if I had lived in the US or had lived anywhere else where I could have worked, I probably would have gone to work as a barista. It's fun. I used to do it in college. I did it when I was a hairstylist, when I had downtime. One of the salons that I worked at had a coffee bar. And just to like get outside, go see people, make tips. I can always fall back on waitressing or cocktailing, which would be the fucking worst thing ever, but I would do it, right? There is something to be said for having a regular paycheck, for not struggling, for being able to like breathe and know that you have money coming in, it calms your nervous system. So if you have to go out and do something, take on a side job, do something else, right? Like I will never shit on anybody for making money. Just consider it an additional stream of income, right? You don't have to lie about it. But I know there's just so much shit in the industry that like you're not fully in your business if you have a side job, or if you go to take something else, which is just like, it's fucking bullshit. This changed the trajectory of my business, of my financial future. I took on this contract job and was paid $4,500 a month, which is more than I was making in my business, plus bonuses. So there were some times where I was close to 10K months, not quite like crossing over them, but going from like up and down to 8K months is fucking huge. So even if you stay in your business and you get a side job, or you have to like do coaching part-time because you do need to go get a job to like bring money in, fucking pay your rent, do what you need to do and go do the things. But whatever you can do to stabilize your income so that you can have predictable money coming in every month, it is a fucking game changer. So never feel shame about that. I will never shame anybody about that. Do what you need to do. But this really changed how I felt. And it gave me hope that I could get out of this hole that I gotten myself in. And so then when the contract job was up at the end of the year, I decided not to renew. And then I stepped back into my business. And so then what you've been seeing since February 2020 is, I also like changed my business model to an anti-hustle lens. And so this is, what you've been seeing in terms of my programs and how I work and the new business model, it came out of all of that. So it changed so much for me in my business. And then I am able to give that to all of my clients. I fully understand this is not available to everybody, but we moved into a much smaller apartment. The first apartment that I got when I was in Italy was this like top floor, gorgeous, like palazzo, 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, living room. Like it was this grand space. We moved into a much smaller apartment it cut our bill by a couple hundred. I think I was paying, I don't know, close to 800, which is a lot in Italian standards. I currently pay 300 euro a month for my studio, and it's by the beach. It is a smoking deal. I am never leaving. I have a 4-year contract, so I'm going to be there for a while. But this is really what has also allowed me to pay off my debt and get ahead. If that's not available to you, like I said, take what you can use and leave the rest. But where can you start to cut costs? Where can you start to cut things out? And it doesn't mean that it's forever. It doesn't mean that you have to stay in the studio forever. It doesn't mean that you have to stay in this smaller apartment or this smaller home forever. It's just so that you can get your footing, stabilize your income, and just like have a baseline so that you can move forward. Here's another big thing there's a couple things. Okay. So one of the big things that changed, and I started using Profit First when, let's see, in 2016, I found myself in a gigantic mess. Had to shut my business down because I was not, like the finances were a disaster, and I didn't have reports. Like it was money in, money out. My personal account and business account were commingled, and it was a fucking mess. And so I had to shut the business down. I was facing fines. It was when I was living here in the Cayman Islands, I was facing fines, and we were going to get in a lot of trouble. So I had to hire lawyers to clean that up, close that business down, and start a new offshore company that was legal. And when I came back from that, I realized, first of all, that I needed to hire an accountant. I needed to have, or she was a bookkeeper. So I needed to have a bookkeeper. I needed to keep track of my money. I separated my personal from my business accounts. So if you don't have that, just like skip everything else that I just said and go do that. First and foremost, separate your business from your personal accounts. Have your Stripe and your PayPal dump into a separate account. Pay yourself. Go read the book Profit First. There's also a book called Profit First for Marginalized Communities, I believe. That is also an excellent book. It's a sub book from Profit First. But you have to have a money management plan. You have to have a plan for your business. You have to have things in place in order for, like, if you were to get audited and your accounts were commingled and you're trying to like deduct things, it is a surefire way to get yourself, knock on wood, audited. And if you get audited and all of the things are commingled, you're fucked. If you don't have receipts, if you don't have, like, if things aren't, what's the word? Like categorized correctly, if you're trying to write off stupid shit for your taxes, it is going to flag your business. If you have an accountant that's shady, who's doing shit like that, and if they get, like, if one of their people gets audited, then when you're sending your taxes in, it says who is your accountant, and then they're going to look at that accountant and see where else they're showing up. And now that accountant, all of their fucking accounts are getting audited. So, like, don't hire shady accountants. Don't try to write off stupid shit on your taxes. Like, toe the line. I know how tempting it is to want to write off your hair, and it's not a fucking write-off. I am not a tax professional, but like, if it's for like a photo shoot, yes, but like your monthly, or like your nails or shit like that, like, it is just a, it's an invitation to get audited. And then if you don't have a money management plan, if you don't have a tracking system, you have no leg to stand on. And so then when you're hit with this bill of like, hey, like, you deducted all this stuff, but you, like, it's not deductible. And now you're screwed, right? So don't do this. Like, we need to show up in integrity in every aspect of our business, how we're showing up with our clients, how we're showing up online, how we're showing up with our money. I'm going off on a tangent here, but obviously I'm very, very passionate about this because I've just seen, I've done it. Like, I tried to do it and it fucking bit me. And so I want to pass this information on to you. Like, don't do what I did. I tried to cut corners. I tried to be like, sneaky and like not have to spend money on a professional who opens businesses. I found someone who's like, oh yeah, I can do that. It was a lie. She couldn't do that. So do things right from the get-go. If you are already in business and you haven't been doing that, then pause, go do these things, go get into alignment, because this is what I mean by being in integrity, that if you are, trying to skirt the law, that's not like in full integrity with what we're doing. So does paying taxes suck? Yes. And this is an opportunity to also just change your mindset that businesses pay taxes. If we can write things off that are legal, then write the things off, right? But trying to do shady shit like I did, it always catches up with you, right? So look at this book, Profit First. If you need to, listen to it, get the, what's it called? Audible. But find a way to start to implement this into your business. And we'll get into this more in Conscious Money, because I know that there is, and I talked about this in the workshop that I did a couple weeks ago, but like, if you're just starting out and you need every single penny that your business is bringing in, then I know that people are like, well, I'll do profit first once I start making more money. But that is a dog chasing its tail, because you're never going to be making like enough if you're not putting these things into action, and if you're not shifting your mindset. Like, if you are hitting your goals and you still don't have enough, right? Like, so let's say you have your first $2,000 cash month and you're like, yeah, that's great, but like, I actually need to be making more. This is something that I've been working on. Like, even when I made 20K, I was like, I mean, that's great and all, but I have a lot of expenses. Like, I actually want to be making more. I wasn't able to just like sit and be so fucking grateful that I just made $20,000. My business just made $20,000 cash, right? Doesn't mean that I made $20,000. But when you aren't doing the mindset work and you aren't doing the embodiment work to feel safe, that there's enough, there's always more, it's already on the way. I know that 30K months are just around the corner, and I'll keep showing up until I do that. And I'm so grateful, right? That if you aren't doing this other work behind the scenes, it doesn't matter if you have your 5K month or 10K month or 20K month, it is still not going to be enough. Because if you're not getting your finances in order, what you will do, and also if you're not like stabilizing and getting regulated to these new levels, you are going to find ways to get rid of this money. So you're going to hire more coaches than you need. You're going to get shiny object syndrome, and you're going to buy this course or that course. And then you're going to have all these payments coming in, and right? When you make more, you spend more, which, yeah, that could be true if you're not doing this work. If you have a system in place and you know that this is your habit, that you are going to try to get regulated back to broke because that's all that you've known, and you haven't done the work to feel safe with your money, that whole, like, the more money you make, the more money you spend will be true. But it doesn't have to be true. You can run a lean business and see your profit go up and see your money go up, but see your expenses stay the same. Or it's a calculated move. Great, I'm making this much money now. It means that I'm going to bring another team member on. Now that I have this much money and I've had it for this many months, and I have stable, predictable income because I have 6-month contracts in place and I can see the payment plans that are coming in, I know that I can hire this new team member, accountant, VA, OBM, like whatever it is, versus just being like, look at, I just had a big month, I'm just going to spend all this money. And it wasn't a calculated move. And then now you're in the negative because people defaulted, you didn't have a long enough payment plan system set up, right? So there's lots of things to consider. So I will let you go. I have so much more to say about this, lots of other things that I have done, but those are some of the big ones that I wanted to share with you. So this is all of the work that we're going to be doing in Conscious Money. As I stated in the beginning, this is my new 4-month program where you get 3 coaching calls with me a month, where you can come in. It's a group program, obviously. So you can ask your questions, go through the modules. There's going to be workbooks, journal prompts. I'm going to walk you through embodiment practices, somatic practices, because it is a mix of the magical, which is the feelings part and feeling safe, trusting yourself, trusting your money, but then the practical too, because you need both when you're dealing with this, because money brings up lots of shame. It's very activating. Even maybe this video is bringing up lots of anxiety. You can feel the like contraction in your body. Just an invitation to really start to add in the somatic practices and then the practical. So we're going to have step-by-step like checklists for you. If you are a spreadsheet nerd like I am, we'll have the spreadsheets for you. But it is also finding practical strategies that work for you, that you're willing to commit to and see through. And then you are able to combine the two, the embodiment, the magical with the practical, the strategies. And this is where you're going to see a difference. And the accountability. Oh, we have also, there are 3 co-working sessions a month so that you can come work side by side with other people in the program. It's led by one of my long-term clients. And it's a great opportunity for you to just set aside an extra hour a week to focus on your money stuff, go through the content, or just journal, do your mindset work, or actually track your money, whatever. So you have that available to you as well. So if you have any questions, send me a message, or you can just go on shannonwhaley.com and the program is over there. And I look forward to seeing all of you in there. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.